Evolving technology has allowed filmmakers to turn actors into some pretty incredible characters. Nowadays, we get to see them turn back time and de-age these actors. As the technology advances, we get to see it more and more. Some of these are downright impressive, and others can look a bit cringy. Check out this list we've compiled for you of actors who were transformed into their younger selves with technology. But before you do, be sure to click on the red subscribe button and click on the bell to turn on notifications to stay up to date on all the latest Screen Rant videos.
I was afraid it wouldn't take to the soil, but it rooted quickly. And soon, it'll be everywhere, all across the universe.
Kurt Russell, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The Guardians of the Galaxy films are among fan favorites in the Marvel film franchise. At the end of the first Guardians, everyone was wondering who Star-Lord's dad was. Turns out, it was the living planet Ego, who assumes the human form in the image of Kurt Russell. In a flashback, we got to see Star-Lord's parents, aka Ego in human form, and his human mom in the 80s. Actor Kurt Russell has aged gracefully, but with a combination of makeup and digital effects, they created a pretty impressive young version of Russell.
You have made time an ally of the rebellion. I suggest we solve both problems simultaneously with an immediate test of the weapon.
Peter Cushing, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. The fact that actors can be de-aged is amazing, but when it is even more impressive is when they can be brought back from the dead. Let's explain what we mean. In the prequel Star Wars film, Rogue One, we get to see the story of the rebels who stole the plans to destroy the Death Star. The villain of the film is Grand Moff Tarkin, who was originally played by legendary actor Peter Cushing. The only problem is Cushing passed away in 1994, so they cast a stand-in who looked and sounded like him but used CGI to fully bring him back to life.
When are you going to stop lecturing me? When you start listening. And you're here because I need you. We're not going to have to meet every one of them in person, are we? No. This one's special.
Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, X-Men: The Last Stand. Hollywood has its share of ageless stars. They might be vampires because they don't look like they've aged a day in years. One of these actors being Patrick Stewart. Now, when it comes to an actor who is ageless, there isn't too much work to do in the de-aging process, right? Well, in X-Men: The Last Stand, we get to see Patrick Stewart be de-aged. With CGI, they mostly made his skin look more youthful, but Ian McKellen's de-aging looks a little rubbery, as his process was a little more drastic. To be fair, Patrick Stewart will never age, and the de-aging process wasn't as advanced as it is now.
Do not think I won't kill you, dwarf. It would be my pleasure.
Orlando Bloom, The Hobbit: The Desolation of SMAUG. Lord of the Rings fans know that elves are not supposed to age. They are immortal and beautiful forever. So when the Hobbit trilogy called for Orlando to come back and appear as Legolas, the filmmakers decided that Mr. Bloom needed a facelift. Orlando Bloom hasn't really aged much in the past decade, so the de-aging was more so to keep Legolas's look consistent. Although his face looks a little weird. It isn't too distracting because Bloom still looks young. We can't help but wonder if simple makeup might have worked better. What do you think?
Your Highness, the transmission we received. What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
Carrie Fisher, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. The late, great Carrie Fisher rose to icon status with her starring role of Princess Leia in the Star Wars franchise. This gorgeous princess won our hearts on and off screen. Carrie was a Hollywood princess whose face we all know so well. So when she appeared in Rogue One, the experience was met with mixed reviews. Tarkin looked great, but Leia seemed a little bit off. We can't quite put our finger on it. Regardless of CGI Leia not looking as great as Carrie, we still thought the cameo was awesome to see, didn't you? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator Salvation. Everyone knows of Hollywood superstar, iconic bodybuilder, and former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Terminator films helped propel his career on the big screen, and his image became synonymous with the Terminator for a time. So when a newer film, Terminator Salvation, made its debut, audiences were shocked to see a scary-looking CGI'd Arnold Schwarzenegger. He looked okay when he was standing still, but when he moved, it was too unrealistic. To be fair, the special effects were not as advanced then as they are today.
An angel. Made again. For you.
Sean Young, Blade Runner 2049. One of the classic sci-fi films with an intensely dedicated fan base is Blade Runner. Despite how the effects of the original film have not aged as well, fans still love it. When fans heard about the sequel, Blade Runner 2049, the excitement was positively tangible. Aside from the charming Harrison Ford making a much-anticipated cameo as his older self, there was one character we weren't expecting to see. Sean Young's character, Rachel, from the original film, makes an impressive cameo in the sequel. At first, the effects are incredible, but once she speaks, the CGI becomes a lot more noticeable.
Don't let your past determine the future. As long as I am alive, nobody will ever get that formula.
Michael Douglas, Ant-Man. Disney has been leading the pack in terms of pushing the de-aging techniques. It allows for some pretty cool flashback scenes, especially in Marvel films like Ant-Man. In one scene, we see Michael Douglas de-aged as his character Hank Pym. We see Pym in the late 80s, and the result of this de-aging process is breathtaking. The CGI Pym looks just like a young, real-life Michael Douglas. The realism is awesome, except for when he speaks and there are close-ups. The effects become noticeable, but not too distracting. The
Devil's Triangle.
Johnny Depp, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Johnny Depp is known for his incredibly good looks, but for the longest time he seemed not to age. One of his most iconic roles is the devilishly charming Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. In the 5th installment, Dead Men Tell No Tales, we catch a glimpse of Jack Sparrow's younger days. Not only do we learn more about his backstory, but we get to see one of the most impressive de-aging processes we've ever seen. Jack looks amazing in the scene, and even more amazing as a still frame. What do you think?
Frankly, you're going to miss us. Because this is the last time we're all going to be together. You know what's about to happen.
Robert Downey Jr., Captain America, Civil War. We know Marvel has put out an impressive amount of films with an equal amount of breathtaking visual effects. One of the coolest and most impressive de-aging processes on our list is Robert Downey Jr.'s de-aged Tony Stark. In Civil War, we see a scene of a young Tony Stark interacting with his parents. We later see present-day Tony Stark emerge and reveal the age difference between the two Tonys. Young Tony Stark looks like we went back in time and filmed a young RDJ. Although the CGI sometimes looks a little unsettling, it's incredibly realistic. What did you think of this scene? Wow. Those were some pretty impressive de-aging processes, weren't they? Which did you find to be the most believable and impressive? Are there any we may have missed? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Screen Rant for more awesome content. Thanks for watching.